Hey, what's up? This is Leo for Actualized.org, and today we're covering the topic of living a big life. All right, so there's a distinction that I got from Brendon Burchard, his Experts Academy seminar, and the distinction that I got is one of living a comfortable life versus living a charged life. So what is this distinction? Well, a comfortable life is the kind of life that you imagine is the one that's going to make you the most happiest. And that's probably the kind of life that you're living right now. So a comfortable life is you've got your career down, you're pretty good with your finances, you've got a good family situation, maybe you've got a good relationship, you've got a good marriage, good family situation, and you're just kind of comfortable, and now you're in this place where you can just kind of relax, unwind, you have time to chill out, to lay back, and you're happy. You're kind of like in heaven. You know, maybe the kind of life that you would have if you won the lottery and you didn't have to do anything anymore. That's like the comfortable life. The charged life is the life where you're out there and you're pushing your comfort zone. You're doing things that are scary. You're doing things that seem a little bit out there and adventurous and are not things that you would normally do. Things where you're pushing yourself. You're learning new things. You're taking risks. That's the charged life. And that kind of life, you're on your edge. You're excited. Sometimes you're a little bit afraid. Other times you're thrilled because you were able to persevere through your limits. Other times you hit up against those limits and you fail and you fall down and you have to go back and you have to reevaluate. You're always learning new things. That's the charged life. The question is, what kind of life are you living? Are you living a comfortable or are you living a charged life? Well, I want to challenge you to live the charged life, because even though the comfortable life seems like it's going to be the most pleasant, I think what you find after you either have gotten there or after you do a lot of personal development work, then you tend to see that that's an illusion and that you're not really that happy when you're living a comfortable life. You're much more happy when you're living on the edge with this charged life. And so to help you understand this, I have a little exercise, all right? And I want you to do this along with me. So you're going to pause this video and do this exercise. And the exercise is very simple. What are the top 5 things that you're most proud of in your life? From birth up to this point in your life, take a look, run past your personal history and take a look. What are the 5 things you're most proud of? All right, go ahead and just make a bulleted list of 5 things. And I'm doing this too. I already did this exercise, so I'm going to share my results with you, and then we're going to compare, and we're going to get some interesting insights out of this. So pause the video right now. Go ahead and do that exercise, and I'm going to give you a second, and then you can come back and we'll talk about it. All right. I hope you did the exercise. You did it, right? This is actually a tangent that I'm going to go off here on, is this idea that you have to do exercises. There's a tendency to want to just listen to me talk and talk and talk, or if you're reading a book, to read the book, and then not do the exercises or not do the things that they're telling you to be doing. Or if you're at a seminar, if they're telling you to do exercises, there's a tendency to not want to do those. You have to do that. What I found one of the biggest lessons that I've learned from personal development, if you want actual results from listening to all this stuff and not just be doing a mental jerk off, then you have to be doing the stuff. You have to be going out there and implementing the theory. And at the very least, what you should be doing is doing the exercises. Really, you should be doing more than just the exercise. You should be going out there then and then applying everything you're learning in your life. But I hope you did that exercise. It's really, really important. If you didn't, then you're only getting about 5% of what you could be getting from what I'm talking about, or from reading a book or from going to a seminar. So do that exercise. That's where 95% of the gold is. All right, so if you've gone through and you listed the things that you're most proud of, the 5 things, then you probably got a list similar to mine. And for me, I'm going to quickly rattle off the list, and I'm going to go into a little bit of detail on some of these subpoints, but not all of them. So for me, the top 5 things were, first, my education. The education that I got from high school and from college, and the way that it's carried over for me to today. Second point is the game project that I worked on after college called Lost Spires, and it became successful and ultimately led to my getting hired as a game designer with otherwise no experience in one of the best studios in the world. And so that was huge for me. The third point is pickup, getting involved in the pickup community, learning about how to get better with women, dating women, relationships, those sorts of things. So getting involved with that has given me huge payoffs. that I can't even begin to enumerate right now. The fourth point was losing 65 pounds in 5 months, which I did back in college. And there I decided to take my fitness and get into shape, get my nutrition into shape, because before that, basically my whole life, I grew up overweight, 65 pounds overweight. And I was that way through high school and through college, caused a lot of problems for me, and then I got that taken care of, and I still have the results of that today after about 8 years. So that was one of the most proud moments of my life. And then the last one is, after I did get that game design job in Boston, I spent about a year working there, and then I decided to leave it, to quit, and to start my own business. For me, that was a really, really challenging decision. It was a big inflection point in my life, and I'm really proud of the fact that I made that decision, went through the struggle of starting my own business, which led me to kind of where I am today, financially independent and able to work for myself and do these cool things that I do that most people don't have the opportunity to do, like shoot this video. And so those are my 5 points. The question is, what are your 5 points? And the more important question is, and this is the second part of the exercise that I want you to pause the video and go out and do, is I want you to go through this list and rate on a scale of 1 to 10 how challenging each of these 5 points was for you. So by what I mean here is, you're going to rate it on a low scale. You're going to rate, if something was very easy for you to accomplish, then you're going to rate it like a 1 or a 2. And if it was really challenging for you to accomplish, then you're going to rate it a 9 or a 10. And if it was something average, then you rate it somewhere in between. So from 1 to 10. Go ahead, pause the video right now, and give a rating, a ranking to each of these 5 points that you've got, and then come on back. All right, cool. So you gave each of your 5 points a rating, and now if you did this exercise, what might have shocked you, kind of what shocked me when I did it, was that my ratings for each of these were off the scale. They were like 9s and 10s. All these things that I'm really proud of, what I discovered is that the reason I'm really proud of them is because they were hard. You know, I did have to take on some risks to do them. I had to go outside my comfort zone. I had to do things that I didn't know that I was capable of, and I had to grow and learn a lot in order to accomplish each one of these. And I didn't know that I was going to be able to accomplish them. So this is what I mean by living a charged kind of life, right? Is the things that you're most proud of in your life, and the things that grow you the most, and the things that give you the best long-term payoff in your life, are the things that are really difficult. And these are not the things that you can just coast through life and accomplish and get. These are the things you have to work your ass off for. And these are the things you have to toil for, and you have to put out emotional labor to get. And sometimes you don't get them, and sometimes you do. And so this exercise keys you in on that, because there is this naive tendency to think that living the easy life is where it's at. That's where you're going to be the most happiest, you know, just sitting on your couch getting stoned, or playing video games, or watching TV. If you could just do that your whole life, then wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be comfortable? But that's not what life is really about. And if you want to accomplish the greatest things that you can accomplish with your life, if you want to contribute really to your life, if you want to get those peak experiences, that sense of contribution, those really exciting peak experiences that you could be getting, the reason that you're not getting more of those right now is because you're not challenging yourself enough. And each of us has had moments in our lives where we've challenged ourselves to accomplish something more, where we had a vision of what we could do, where maybe external circumstances just forced us to go out there and work really hard. Each of those cases now we feel really proud of, because we did have to grow. We did have to learn new stuff, and now we're proud of it. And when you're going to be on your deathbed and you're going to be lying there, it's these moments that you're going to be really, really proud of. And the difference between going to be having a successful life at that point and having kind of a mediocre life full of regrets is going to be how many times did you challenge yourself? How many times did you step up to your highest potential? How many times did you choose that path of growth versus that path of comfort? And if you did that a lot, then you're going to have an exciting life. And if you did that a little, then you're going to have a regretful life. And honestly, your life is not going to be as happy as you think it is. It's going to be quite miserable, because when you're sitting there watching that TV, or sitting there getting stoned, or whatever it is you're doing, you're in that comfortable little spot. Deep down inside, you have that guilt of knowing that you could be doing more. That guilt of knowing that you're not really living your full life. You're not getting the most out of life when you're living like that. And that is what I want you to avoid that kind of problem, to avoid that midlife crisis down the road. You want to stop that right now. And the way that you do that is you realize that in life, not every day, but a lot of times, you get these inflection points. You get these decision points where you get to decide, am I going to step it up? Am I going to take that path of growth? Or am I going to stay in my comfort zone and take the path of comfort? And Abraham Maslow talks about this, and this is one of the ways to really develop and become self-actualized and to work on your self-actualization is to learn to spot these inflection points. And they can be little, they can be small, or they can be big. The ones that I talked about here for me personally were big, right? These, like for example, starting my own business, that was a very critical inflection point in my life. And I remember, just like it was yesterday, I remember standing there in my apartment in Boston and thinking about whether I should quit my job, because I had a good job, whether I should quit that, and I had a lot of promise there, and cut that path off, or whether I should go and start my own business, which I didn't know whether it was going to be successful. I knew I had to work really hard at it, and I also knew that if I was leaving this job, then I would never be coming back to the game development industry, because I already had the best job that I could have there. What more could I ask for? If I didn't find that satisfying, there's no other job in this industry would have worked for me. So for me, that was a really tough choice. But ultimately, I decided that the path of most growth for me would be to do the business, because that was something new, that was something scary, that was something unknown. And so I went off and I did that, and I'm really proud for having done that today. Got a lot of benefit from it, from my financial independence now, but also from all the business experience that I've gotten, and now the fact that I have the freedom, the free time, and also the money to start my new business, which is shooting these videos and doing personal development research and doing coaching. So that was huge for me. And the same goes for really all the other 4 points that I mentioned. My point here being is that sometimes you get those big inflection points, sometimes you get little ones. Every day you have an opportunity to look at your life and see, okay, here I could have pushed myself a little bit more. I could have chosen that growth path a little bit more. And instead, maybe you can see that you're choosing the comfortable path all the time. And if you are doing that, then I encourage you to challenge yourself. Start challenging yourself more. You can't always be perfect at challenging yourself. Sometimes you're going to be tired. Sometimes you're going to feel weak. And you're just going to give in to that temptation to veg out. But in general, by doing this exercise, I hope you can see that those moments where you did challenge yourself, those were big. And that's how you create a really powerful, amazing life. And the people that have those kinds of lives, they didn't get them by sitting on the couch. They didn't get them by just listening to a video or reading a book. They got them by going out there and actually living life, challenging themselves, doing adventurous things, doing things that are outside their comfort zone, doing things that are not in their personality stereotype. So really pushing themselves, right? And I think that's what we admire about people like that, is when we see people out there killing it, when we see people out there doing crazy stuff that is out of character for them, on some level we're rooting for them, because we know that that's the kind of life that we want to live. And there's a tendency to want to live your life vicariously through them, but that's a problem, right? That's really what TV is kind of like, is that you watch TV and you might watch a show about somebody doing something cool on TV and you kind of resonate with that. But then what are you actually doing? You're sitting at home eating popcorn watching that show, when instead you should be out there doing that kind of stuff in real life. You should be engaged. When you're engaged, that's how you create excitement, that's how you create motivation. So if you're not motivated, if you're not feeling like your life has a lot of meaning, if you're not feeling like your life is as fulfilling as it could be, if you feel like you're in a dead-end job, if you're in a dead-end relationship, if stuff is just boring for you, and you're not getting the sense of thrill that you see other people getting and you're wondering why, this is it. You're not challenging yourself enough. And the first challenge that I'm going to put up for you is do this exercise. Really think about it. Think about points in your life where you chose to go the growth route versus the comfortable route, and see what kind of difference your life would would have, what kind of difference in your life there would be if all those growth choices that you chose, if they were all comfort choices. So what if your life was all comfort? Really think about that. How great would your life be? I'm willing to bet that your life would be pretty horrible right now. You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't make that trade-off. Because even though those challenging times were really challenging, you had to work your ass off for them. And sometimes you had real moments of anguish and self-doubt and frustration. In the end, whether you made it through or maybe you didn't even make it through, maybe you just quit, whatever, you still got something out of that. You pushed yourself, right? You were on your edge. You learned something about yourself, and that grew you. For me, there was no way that I would go back and make some of these changes. Back in high school and college, I chose to really step it up with my education and to really work hard and study. And for me, that was huge because that built and cultivated a love of learning for me that I still have right now. And in fact, that's why I'm doing personal development research. And I'm shooting these videos is because I love to learn, I love to analyze, I love to see what kind of things I can understand about the world and then how those can be used to make a better life for myself. So for me, that really started back in high school and in college by challenging myself to really step it up and become a really good student. And then, of course, other things that I got involved in, these other points that I'm proud of, from the game project that I worked on after college, which allowed me to create my first real successful game, put it out there, see the sense of contribution that I got from it, put a lot of smiles on people's faces, get over 100,000 downloads of that game, and ultimately got my dream job from that. That was huge for me. I would not trade that for anything. And then getting involved with pickup was also huge for me, led to my better understanding of women, got me more self-confidence, got me even further involved with personal development, because a lot of the people that I met in the community were self-development junkies, so that got me involved with that. Just very, very rewarding rewards that I'm still seeing to this day from all that. And then, of course, my health, losing 65 pounds in 5 months. For me, at the point when I decided to do that, I had been overweight my whole life, very overweight, and it was a big question as to whether I was going to succeed. I tried dieting in the past, and it hasn't worked for me. And then at that point, I just decided to commit and to really be disciplined about it. And I ended up going to the gym, improving my diet, and losing 65 pounds in 5 months. Pretty good result, I would say. And I was able to keep that off up to this day. Haven't really fluctuated much in my weight since. That was 8 years ago now. And the health benefits that I got, the energy benefits that I've got, have been huge. The confidence, the boost that I got from being more comfortable with how I look, liking myself more, those things were all huge, and I would not trade those for anything in the world. So I'm really happy with that decision. And then, of course, starting my own business, I already talked about how huge that was for me, because that allows me to be doing what I really love to do right now. And I'm so grateful that I made that decision and went through the pains of starting my own business and learning how the business world works. So those are my personal proudest moments. I'm curious to hear what yours are, and I want you to sit there and recollect and think a little bit and wax nostalgic about what you're most proud of. Because I think you'll find that when you get a visceral sense for the importance of pushing yourself and doing those challenging things, then when you're faced with those choices, the comfort versus the challenging versus the comfort choice, when you're faced with those in the future, you're going to lean more towards the challenge. And that's going to lead to the kind of exciting life that you want to be living. All right, so I'm going to sign off here. I encourage you to do this exercise. If you haven't done it by now, pause right now, still not too late. Go ahead and do it. Really, really important that you do the exercises. And then I want to hear from you. I want your comments. Tell me what are your 5 proudest moments. Tell me how challenging those were for you. Were they really challenging? Were they kind of average, or were they really easy? Maybe they were easy. I want to hear about those if you've got them. So go ahead and leave some comments. And also, of course, as always, go to Actualized.org for more videos, exclusive videos. Got a great newsletter that's totally free. More articles like this, and then of course for every video that I'm shooting, whether you find this on YouTube or Vimeo or other places, you can get the full text article and exercise files and things like that, cool downloads on Actualized.org. Just go ahead and run a search for it, and you'll find the exact article page. All right, this is Leo signing off.